Hey there, Planetary Kin. Today I'm here with Amiria Romati. We are in New Zealand on this land, and we're going to have a conversation. We're not too planned, so this is an in the moment, relaxed. We have got a cup of tea that we're just sharing, and we're just going to have a conversation, a kōrero, as is said in Te Reo Māori. So, welcome Amiria.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Tuakana.
Hey. So we're newly living together, and it's a very exciting thing, because I always feel like bringing the law of time and the codes of the Maya to New Zealand is something that I've been guided to. That I feel that it's already here. It's in this land.
Tēnei te mihi I te tuakana mo te kaitiaki o te wharenui me te Marahau Valley. Tēnei te mihi ki ngā tipuna, the ancestors of this most sacred valley. Tēnei te mihi ki ngā atua me te wairua o Hawaii ki tautau, Aotearoa. Te wai pounamu, te waka a Maui, te ika a Maui. No mahara mai ki te whenua tapu. Ko amiria ahau, he uri ahau no te waiohua, Tainui, Taranaki iwi, he wahine Māori, o Aotearoa. I am wahine Māori from this beautiful and very tapu, sacred land, born and raised, and very grateful to hold and share this space with you.
Oh.
Kōrero.
Kōrero. And just for basically, Amiria was just sharing about where she's from, her hapu, her tribe, her iwi, her sub-tribe, and just a blessing for this land, this sacred land that we are on, that I've been drawn to 25 years ago, and recently Amiria has been drawn to as we journey here together, and I feel there's a meeting of the codes. A meeting of the codes that I carry, and a meeting of the codes that Amiria carries through her ancestors. And so yeah, we're excited to explore that and to share that now in just a short kōrero together, a short talking together. And yeah, and seeing as we're doing this for the Noospheric constant gathering online, just to explain the noosphere. The noosphere is a term that was coined by Russian Vernadsky, and basically means the evolution of consciousness to this point where we've evolved through the biosphere and the atmosphere, and now there's a noosphere. And the noosphere being the collective mind that circles the planet. And from my understanding through Jose Arguelles, who has brought this term into the understanding of working with time, and time as synchronicity, time as art, not time as money, not time as the colonized overlay, but the raw and natural evolving nature of us collectively on this planet, to the purified mind. And that means purifying colonized concepts, such as death fear, such as sex taboo, such as false spirituality, and such as the fear of lack. and these things that have been brought by colonization is the unraveling, the purifying of, and in particular, it's good to talk to amiria. Amiria in the Dzogchen is a red electric moon born in the cycle of the hand, which through our perception brings you in as a healer and someone who accomplishes a lot, and having lived with you for the last 2 months, it's very clear to me that the hand accomplishes a lot. And electric moon is the activation. Red moon is the fire of purifying through exploring what it is, the flow of raw emotion, allowing emotion to come through. And I always know where I stand with amiria, because whatever is pure and coming through.
Is.
In the moment, expressed and easy to be with, because there's always a knowing of where I stand with her, and that's very such a gift in my world. So how does that? Can you relate to that?
Yes, very much so. Very. I think the complexities of the many layers that make up our everything, it's very clear, and many of my attributes and characteristics and desires and passions and how I express and visualize, and receive codes and then express those codes, or express what it is that I'm feeling from Wairua, from spirit.
Oh. And I think that we have a shared understanding that comes through in different words, which is why it's so interesting to connect here and have these conversations around Wairua, around spirit, and around the understandings of that. And I know that amiria has reclaimed her roots, her ancestral connections, and that's a big movement in New Zealand right now, especially amongst the younger women. And it feels like a new time. It feels like a time where the younger women are recognizing where we are now, honoring the past, but also honoring where we are now and how we are to evolve forward in that collective mind. So I'm going on a few different tangents here, but just to come back to those four sex, taboo, death, fear, false spirituality, and fear of lack. Do you feel that these things came in stronger with the advent of colonization? I mean,
absolutely. Within Te Ao Māori worldview, wairuatanga is the absolute essence. So the spiritual world is the absolute essence of and fundamental or pillars to everything that is conducted in Te Ao Marama, in this world, this living world of light. Without the po of wairuatanga conducting with pure intention everything throughout the day and through tepo, through the night, is essential, fundamental. And through colonization, and we must remember Aotearoa was the very last landmass to be colonized in Te Ao Māori, in this living world. So this whenua was left to mature over millions and millions of years, and even longer than other landmasses in the world, which created a symbiotic relationship with not only Te Taiao, our natural environment, but then the older nations that were dwelling here for thousands of years, and then through that taniwha, that Western taniwha, to come and slowly consume and remove through law. Tohunga Suppression Act, Native Schools Act, all of these different acts that stopped our people from practicing karakia, prayers, divination, even voyaging on waka, to strip that of our people that is ingrained into their DNA. Of course it's going to cause generations and generations of disconnection and miscommunication, so what we're observing is, and not only my people, Māori people, but all people of all colour and creed and culture are reclaiming their mana and their power, and that mauri, that life force, that spark has returned. And there are many forerunners. So we have those the star seeds and I don't use this kuku much, but the rainbow tribe that have been leading the way for many decades. So it's beautiful to observe, but there is so much destruction that has been done that we are repairing. My papa's generation, and my mama's generation were those that were highly impacted because it was literally beaten out of them, so they assimilated, where my generation are fierce. So we are full mana, full power, we are reclaiming na mahara mai ki te, kainga, papakaima, reclaiming the very concept of community and kotahitanga, unity, and restoring that unity within community. So much damage. But we're on the waka, we're on the kaupapa, and it's happening. It needs to happen faster, but it's
Tell
happening.
me about it. At the age of 60, I've been like, when I was 25, I thought we were going to shift it all the way back then, and it just tended to get worse. But there's a trusting in that somehow it needs to get worse before it gets better, and I've got to trust that, because otherwise, whatever.
In my moimoia last week, was Taranaki Maunga blowing, erupting, and Pele, all these ancient archetypes that are revealing themselves in many forms. Our moimoia, the dream realm, through the whatu manua, through the gift of psychic and telepathic and seer abilities, and then through the pūmotomoto and nurturing one's direct connection with Io, or God, or Allah, whoever, creator, in his various forms. Creation, co-creation, and to access that and to reclaim that connection. And we're in a time now, and I've always said it, and I know it's in the past it's triggered people, but now people are seeing we do not need to move through a tohunga or a knowledge keeper or an ascended master to access this mātauranga. It is direct, it always has been. We are an intrinsic, direct connection with Io. And I've always said that, and been very particular about the spaces we move through in order to receive that if we're not quite on that level yet,
And we're all on different levels. And it's interesting listening to you speak, because very much working with the calendar, with the Maya, the galactic Maya, all these things are there. All these things are available, all these things are, and it's a very, on one level, working with the galactic Maya can be a very right brain, logical way of working, because there's the codes that we follow each day. But it's also a very balanced way, because it's also working then with the intuition and reading those codes and being open to the messages of the wairua, of spirit, that is revealed through those codes. So we have a direct access to the day itself, informing, having codes that reveal that information. And I find those codes are very much reflected also in Te Reo Māori, because the language itself is codes. It's very simple, it's very raw, it's very direct, it's a language of the earth.
And so ancient.
So ancient.
So ancient. Te reo arangatira he tūturu ingoa translates to the language of the sun.
Exactly. And that's what the galactic
And I've always
Maya
said
is.
since I was a child, since I was a young tamahine, I come from the sun. I come from the sun. It's like, you're crazy. It's like, he nui te rā, me tama nui te rā, and to be gifted to carry the name Raumati, which means summer. You know, hine Raumati, summer maiden, is
beautiful.
It's
and what
beautiful.
That,
but it's living it, you know, it is.
Right. And what that speaks to me is because very strongly I was brought to this piece of land, as amiria now has as well, and at that time I was already working with the codes of the law of time, and I have a feeling in my bones that the Maya from Palenque, where these codes were held and kept and stored and away from the eyes of the colonizing people, because the Maya then left, and my feeling is they then became the Inca, and then they came across the Easter Island, and then they came across to this land, and that those codes are in here, in this land as well. And so it's beautiful. I've now also begun to relearn Te Reo Māori, the Māori language, because I spoke it fluently as a teenager. And I feel like there's something that we are doing. We are brought together, and we don't know why yet, but we start to get glimpses around something that is recognizing those
the ancient
paths.
trails.
Yeah,
Remember,
walking together.
And too, there were, you know, Māori is indigenous, the native people of a particular land, yeah? And that kupu, there were many nations and many waka that circumnavigated Te Moana Nui a Kiwa, the Pacific Ocean, and for many thousands of years, travelling the oceanic realms and harvesting certain taonga, this particular land, Pounamu, and then taking it to other maunga or mountains or other wahitapu, sacred sites, in order to anchor it into that land. So that, you know, many waka came,
many
Rapa
people.
Nui, South America, right back to, and where my interest in my manua is now, in tracing our most ancient trails back to Israel, through Egypt.
Exactly. And all of those trails, all of the codes. It's so interesting coming from different angles, because at the most sacred and the most simple place where they all meet, you know, the message is the same. The message is the same. We are here. We are one with the earth and myself are one mind, as Jose Aguirre would say. And this speaks strongly to the collective mind, the collective evolution of mind connected to heart, connected to land. And that we are this physical body, we are this sense body, we are this mind, and we are this wairua, we are this soul, that we are this spirit. And that at the most simple level is where we're all connected. And it's to be stripping back. We've gone to an incredible polarity away from the most natural way of being, and it's the slowly stripping back of that to come to the very essence of what even is the word for that, but the purity of consciousness itself, and knowing ourselves as that. And so I really appreciate you, Amiria,
And yes,
for the rawness of your being, for the realness of your being, for the purifying continually through expressing what is in the moment and trusting self enough to know that that is the wairua. That is the wairua that pours through you, that informs you in each moment. And I really appreciate that in music. So just to honor that.
And what are we drawing forth from our own sipuna, from our own ancestors? What are we encoded with? What is our DNA holding? What rungua, what medicine, what mātauranga, what knowledge, wisdom, and calling all this in, directly from our ancestors and from our ancestral lands, if we are still living on them. If not, link in to whatever land. And it's not, this is the fine line between cultural appropriation, and just drawing in that ancestral wisdom in order for all of us to walk forward, side by side, collectively.
And that's the beauty of people, like with Maori, it's only been not too many generations since colonization happened, and so that is still accessible for you. It's still strong here. Whereas with European nations, that colonization began 2,000 years ago. And so accessing back into our own indigenous cultures that were earth-loving is a greater task. Although it's there, and but it's a deep dive, and so I'm super grateful for my walk and how Spirit has guided me. Because I don't have that ancestral, it's so confused, it's so colonized for so long that I reach to the future, I reach to the codes of the law of time that informs me, and through that I find an ancestral connection, because way back there, 2,000 years ago, those codes were alive. So I'm grateful to the indigenous peoples, those that are still having access to the ancestral wisdom, and to the galactic Maya, and to the star brothers and sisters that also keep that here with us, that ancient future that we're going to evolve, that we are in now.
And repairing, healing, our lost DNA.
Purifying.
And not only in this life,
No.
but in all the previous lives that we have lived. How can we access that greater consciousness? Te ao huri, we are in the ever-evolving cyclic world. How can we access? We call her the hidden mother, the hine ngaro, the hidden mother, who it is consciousness and awareness, and the great grandmother of all those Akashic records, and how we can access that, and especially through Moimoia, the dream realm, and Aotearoa is so tapu in that sense. Along with our tuakana Australia,
Yes, and we carry within the codes New Zealand and the East Coast, from Central to East Coast Australia, is the Blue Night, which is all about the crystal core of our earth, of our Papatuanuku, of our Earth Mother, carrying the dreaming for this planet, which is abundance for all beings, and that's found in the Blue Night universal truth, or archetype, or pulse, or spark of light that is emitting from the sun, which is abundance for all beings. And holding the dreaming. So this place, New Zealand, Aotearoa, and Australia, carry the dreaming for the planet. And so I know that around the planet, Māori are respected for holding strong the dreaming. And
and also assisting other indigenous nations with reclaiming and reintroducing their native mother tongues. So helping to replenish lost generations of indigenous nations, from the Amazon to Australia,
North
through
America.
the Pacific Islands, our Tuakana and Turtle Island, hold such profound wisdom. Because, regardless of colonization, and yes, it has impacted our people greatly, only 17% of Māori speak te reo.
That's right. You found out that the other day.
That's what 83% non-speaking.
Right.
So there's a lot of mahi to do.
Yeah, a lot of work to do. Yeah, well, it's so beautiful to have this conversation, and we're going to bring it to a close. And this conversation has been just to let Kin out there know that we're working closely together, sharing codes, that we all may recognize that we are one mind. We are the earth and ourselves are one mind, and that there is the indigenous people that have been colonized not so long ago, that still have access to their ancestors and that ancestral depth of wisdom that is also very alive within the galactic Maya and the codes of the calendar. And how grateful I am to meet you, Amiria, and to reactivate Māori tanga for myself, because that was the beginning of my journey to finding the codes of the galactic Maya, to really experience Māori tanga in my teenage years, the whānau, the feeling of inclusion, the feeling of love, of family, that keeps us rooted, that keeps us grounded, that keeps us in our hearts and evolving. And so grateful for that in my walk. Grateful for Māori tanga and the beauty of it.
And how the whenua and the land responds to it. It's
So
just
beautiful.
dances. The one of the original, after, of course, the Patipauri hen, the manu, the bird tribes, and the many layers of kaitiaki of this land. The karakia?
Yeah.
Pēnei au, pēnei au, te opai nei, te tiri nei, te paupau nei, mō tōku reo. Mō tōku mana, mō tōku hi, te māpihi mauria. Kia mau